Okay, now we see here we've got our girl. She's mapped out. And what I've done with her is I've gone ahead, I've got her on a piece of plexiglass. Just kind of got her taped to it there so she can't move around. And this is our source material. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of plexiglass cover. Now this is from a poster board. It's from a poster frame. And you can buy them like they're ready to hang up a poster in. And you can get them in the 18 by 24 size. That's not a problem. What you'll do is you'll come in here like this. You'll cover her with her plastic like so. Start with your section here. Go all the way down. So you'll go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. As such. Okay, turn your subject this way. Go across the top. Again, every 2 inches. We go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And finally, at the bottom, lining everything up again. Coming across to here, we start out with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and of course 18 will be here on the end. Okay, I'll lay it down. I've done a couple of them here. Go right down 16, 18, 20, 22, and of course 24. Now it's just simply a matter of going from one side to the other in a motion. Like so. And we go right across from point to point each time. And that way we don't mess up our original source material. Here again, this is just a loose reference guide to give us an idea of where things are going to go on our finished picture. Okay. Like so. Like so. And it's really pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Like that. Turn her sideways. These 24-inch rulers are great for this because it's the exact distance of your longest piece. 1. And 2. We'll do that one again. Got kind of a light line there. There too. And you only have to do this once because you can lift it off your original if you have one this size again, and you can just use it accordingly. Just all you have to do is just simply Set off base there a little bit. No big deal. That's fine. None of which is a problem. Nah, not in the long run of things. That's pretty good. Now, you see you have a very fine grid out now of our little lady here. Yeah. And so, we'll just simply continue to mark her out. My pen to finishing up here. 2 more lines. And we should be done. And ready to go. We've got our grid out for our picture. Now we need to get our grid out for our paper that we're working on. So here's what we'll do. We'll come over here like this, and every 2 inches, just like is on our picture, our photograph. There's 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and of course 24 at the bottom. And of course we'll lay it down like this. And we'll come across here with the following: 2 inches, 4 inches, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and of course 18. Then down the side here. If you want to put this on the paper just a little bit to help, 1, hold it down, and 2, short up there at the bottom, 1, to hold it down, and 2, to give you some erase room without having to erase off the edge of the paper. That's something I like to do. I'm going to show you that now. 22, let's see, 22, 20, 18, doing it backwards, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and of course 0. See, if you put it on there like that, if you put each of your lines on there like that, rather than the way I did it over here, it's easier to erase these. Like that, and mark my line. I'm going to put them on here darker than you should. You should go very, very light with this and use a very light pencil. I'm going to do it a little bit darker so that you can see the difference on film. But I want you to use, I would suggest you use, not the pencil I'm using, I would suggest you use probably a 3H for this, no darker than an HB. As I say, I'm doing this so you can see how to grid, because that's the important part of this first procedure. I don't know how many of you do or don't know how to grid, or one way or the other. But my goal is to show you the entire portraiture process in this video as much as I practically can. And in doing so, now I'm at the point now where if I wanted to do a grid out of my own, I would probably have simply gridded out an area in here, like that. I would probably just have gridded this out and put these lines and a couple up the middle, graphed her face out, and said forget about it, because I don't need all this over here. Because I can guess at that, I can fake that. Of course I can fake the whole thing anyway, but I'm trying to teach you grid squares method to go with this. If that's, you know, tracing through this paper, if you want to trace out your outline, it's pretty impossible to do. Then we'll come down here like this, and I'll do my last part 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and of course 18. Yeah, I would probably, if I were you, see this is a nice 24-inch ruler, and it completely covers the entire distance nicely. And I can press down and not worry about messing anything up if I hold my lines on either end to the right mark, press down fairly firmly. See, then I can actually get this grid out like I want it. And then it does very well for me. Like so. And of course my grid will exactly match the 2-inch grid on the big one over here. And again, if you didn't get this video here about Emily, Emily was done from an 8 by 10 rather, to this size of 18 by 24. So you can get that video also from Amazon. That's done on VHS tape. The lighting isn't as good. My cameras weren't as good. I didn't have a computer when I first made it. Whole bunch of problems. Yeah, I know about them. But a lot of people, I sold 80 copies of that movie last year, and none of them got returned. So the 1 or 2 people that gave me pretty bad 1-star ratings on it, I've tried to correct some of that in this video, using my better equipment and so forth. So let's see how I do, okay? Alright, there's your grid out. Very lightly here. I'll do it very lightly. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. I'm going to do it K, L. So light that only I can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Alright, so there you go. There's your grid out. It should match perfectly the grid out over here on our girl. I could probably, like I say, get by with just gridding that part of her face out if I wanted to, and gridding out basically just the center where her face is going to go. I'm looking over here at the 2 eyes. I always start with my 2 eyes. And I've got over here in F7 just about the whole eye with a little in F8. And I've got most of this eye here, since the head is level, it'll be on the F line. Now the top of that eye is about, I would say, full 1/4 inch above and about, I would say, a 1/2 inch in where the top of that eye comes to. Full 1/4 inch. Yep, we're right on the money. So I can go ahead and guess at about where this eye is going to be. And I'm going to go ahead and just draw it in. About what I know an eye looks like. Like that. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to measure the second eye from the F6 line. It comes down about 1/2 inch and over about 1/2. Alright, so the F6, here's your 6, here's your F, there's the line. 1/2 inch down, 1/2 inch over. Now I know that's almost a trace out accuracy because I'm going to measure each line. So in other words, it's going to look like this. That eye we're looking at here, when we measure it, there's a point here we want, okay? And there's one over here we're going to want. It's where the eye comes out. And we know it's going to come up and right around about like that in and about like that over. It's going to come up to here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our ruler here and we're going to measure that point from this line right here over. You're looking at a little over just about 1/4 inch. And you're looking at not quite that down. So you'll come over to here. So we know it's going to be 1/4 inch down and not quite the 1/4 inch. See, it's coming out of this area there. It's going to be that far down. And not quite the 1/4 inch over. It's going to be right there. This point here then will come over. And the whole eye will sink down and sweep back up accordingly. So what we've done now is we have mapped out the eye. Now as we go, we're going to make it a lot more intense than that. We're going to make it a lot better than that. It'll be between 1/4 and 1/2 inch down is the very point of that eye right there. That's going to be 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. It's going to be right there on that mark right between there. We know this. We also know it's going to be this far in, just about 1/4 inch in. And it's going to be on line 7 and it's going to be between E and F. Between E and F, 7 and 8. On my line. So I'm going to come over here and say that's not quite 1/4 inch in from the corner of this eye over into the white. And it's not going to be, it's going to be between 1/4 and 1/2 inch down. Okay, so on that side, if I can measure here so you can see it, this black part here, it's going to come up about 1/4 inch off of the E and F line, and the eye is going to come all the way across to just about 1 inch from the edge of this 6 line across. So I've got the 6 line here, and what I'm doing is I'm pointing out this point, that point, that point, all the way around the 4 eye points. When I'm done, that will be my eye right there. Now watch. I'll go ahead and etch this out easy here, because I know about what the shape looks like. So I'm going to come down like that. It's going to come over and down. It's going to come right up. That's the highest point. The white of the eye itself is actually on this line as I measured it. Tear duct thing going on there. So, maybe I can get by with drawing that a little bit lighter than the other one for you. So that's our map out. That's going to be her mask right there. Alright. Now then, taking the liberty of going down here already and doing the nose, particularly for the nose here, it's going to be the nostrils. Either side of the nostril case. 4 nostril points are here and here, here and there. Or where the bottom part of the nose. Alright, and I know that this is going to come up like this and go across. And I know that this is going to come up in a line like that. That's a rough out of a nose, but that's going to be the nose area. So just get those 4 points in your mind. Alright. Here's a mouth. Then I did here and here on the mouth, here, here, and some lines down here to show a cross. Forget this in here. I just want the total outline shape. Okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and get the nose outside while I'm here. And that's going to come over just exactly 3/4 of an inch from where I've got it here. Okay? So I'm going to come back over here. It's 3/4 of an inch across. And from this line down, from the line at the top, it's exactly 1.25 inches to the edge of her nose. My top line is at a good 1.25 inches down from the top. Here's going to be the outside edge of her nose down. And over from this side, it's going to be 3/4 of an inch exactly. 3/4 exactly. I'm on it. Now I can sketch in the outside of a nose. Now where does this nose come out to? Well, up here on F and G line, it comes out exactly, I'm going to say 1/2 inch. So on my F and G line, I'll go over to exactly 1/2 inch and put a dot right there on my little line. Okay? And I'm going to let this nose come right up to there and out. Okay? Like I said, measure each of these lines. It's as good as a trace out. It's going to be exactly as good as that. So, come down here like this. Okay. And then voila. See that? I can actually guess at the center line now from this. It's going to roughly right across through there some way or another. And boom, I got a mouth just like that. Then this is going to come up like this and like that, and you're on your way. Now I can go back over here and measure. What I'll do is I'll measure each of these points. This is what you do. I come over here. It is exactly 1.25 inches from here to here. Okay? From the end of her mouth to here is 1.25 inches exactly. From the line itself, this line comes up a little over 1.25 inches and 2/8, or yeah, 2/16 to this point at the top here. And same for over here. Okay? You come over here. How far to the crease where it tilts down? It tilts down right exactly the 3/4 mark right there. It's 3/4 of an inch over where this tilts down. And literally you can sit here and get all of your measurements that you need to get exactly what you want. You're going to begin to get the etch out of this girl's face. This, yes, it's time consuming. Then you go down to the bottom of her chin. And then you go around and you frame her face and all that hair. Like I say, it does take time. But what happens when you get to that point and you've done the time and you've got it in until you get something that kind of looks like this. Now we're going to pull in here tight. I don't have time to do all this on camera. But I've gone ahead, checked a lot of my measurements, and done some just brief sketching in of where stuff will go, using these grid lines as my parameter. Alright? And then it will begin to look like this after a while. Okay? What I will do next then is I'll move in on one of those eyes, or I'll finish the whole outside of the head. I can actually go around her head and figure all that out from this point here. Now we're beginning to get a girlishness. It doesn't look like our girl yet. It won't look like her until the shadows go in. An outline does not give you a likeness. That's why it said if you want to trace this thing, go ahead, because you're not going to get the 5% of the whole drawing, even if you did trace it out. But here's the deal, and you want to know this. You're still not, you're still not going to get a likeness of a trace out. I should do a trace out and show you the difference, but I don't have time to fool with it on here. Besides, I can't see through this paper anyway. It's too thick. This is 80-pound bond. It's very difficult to see through. I don't have any kind of a light table. I don't own a light table. I don't own an x-ray thing or anything like that I could use. No Lazy Susans, no trace tables. I don't own anything like that. I don't even have a projector. So I have to just sort of use the grid squares method, and as I go then I can fix things. But we'll go ahead and then I'll outline this head for you and show you what that looks like. And then you kind of end up with something that looks like that as you go up and sort of just lightly put in where the lines go. Okay, all the way around the top of the head. Alright. That is your playground. That right there, this right here, is this right here. Okay? Now, as I say, when I draw, I don't fool with all these grid lines. I don't do this sort of thing. To me, I would do a few across the face to get my measurements. What I would do is do the corners of the eyes like I told you. I would come, if I was going to measure it, I would need to know where this was, where that 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 was. And of course this is hanging out farther. This is not equidistant across. The lowest point's actually here, and it's so far from here to there. And I would come down the face, okay? I would come down the face, and I would come up here and I'd guess where this, I'd come up through here and I would guess that her nose is going to come in right here to this eye. I know that's going to happen. Okay? That's going to happen there. There's going to be a shadow down here off of that. There's going to be a lot of facial detailing. All this is going to be hair in this area here. So I can go ahead and just start shading to get to that. I know that this line here is going to be super dark outside of that. Okay? So that's the kind of thing I can do to just start bringing out her realism. I can start shading in this lip down here if I wanted to, because I know it's going to be dark all the way through it, and it's going to be highlights pulled out of that. So that's the kind of thing you can do to get an outline. Different people have different ways. I don't have an hour and a half to sit here and show you how I would sit here and painstakingly pull this outline out. But you'll notice that from a blank piece of paper, I now have a face emerging through the glass. Every line that you see here on this outline, including the grid, has to disappear. Everything you see here has to leave. And a value will have to be placed on the inside or the outside of where you see these markers. This is just a foundational thing. That's all this is a foundational thing where I'm implying where stuff is going to go. So every mark on this paper has to be erased. And once every mark on this paper is erased, I need some extra lighting on there. Once every mark on this paper here is erased, and there's a value on one side or the other of every line here, we will have the completed portrait. That's how this thing works.
In this video, we're going to start filling in the eyes, the irises and the pupils and so forth. And we're going to use both eyes back and forth simultaneously to illustrate the techniques and save time on doing the eyes on video.
So I'm going to come over here like this, And I believe, let's see, which ones of these did we use on the first eye? Yeah, it was the second one over. That, I believe, would be the full outlay of this girl's eye. We need a perfect... Whoa! Boy, 10 years, I haven't lost the touch. Sweet. I'm loving it. Alright. Now, it was the second one there, yes. And once again, I've got to guess where that pupil's going to fall in a perfectly mapped out eye. Most of it I know will be up under the hair. So I want to kind of follow this line here. Is it equidistant? I would say so. I'm going to guess right there. And you know what? I like that. It's going to have... Recess it under the lid. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all over that. I think that's going to work very, very well for us. That worked out beautifully. Alright. I'm going to take a little 3B here. And I'm not really worried about racing that line that goes through there from the grid out. I'm just going to go ahead fill it in like that. Now, looks very nice. Looks very real too. As we said, the other eye, for some reason the pupil was winced down in the one on the photograph. It was not this large. Take a 6 now and really throw in some nice blackness here. Yeah. Then I'm going to take an HB. In fact, I can do this if I really want to. This is something I could show you. Bingo. See? That gets you up next to the edges. All the way around those nice edges. Of course there's going to be a lash line shadow. Of course we're going to take the little somewhat soiled tortilla and go across there, right off of the white of the eye. We're going to imply it, and that'll make it look even more real. Alright, we got a blue eye. I can go around the inside of here and imply blue iris as well, like so. Right up. Of course, if you want to, again, this will also work for your iris. That's the 1 second from the end, yes. Color it in, basically, right up next to those lines. Voila! See how nice that looks? This line here, I'm going to get rid of this line here. I'm going to bring this line down a little flatter, I think. There's a triangle of light showing under there as well. Alright. Of course, here and this comes up to here. Yeah, like that. And of course we can blast out some nice effects in the white area there, which will tend to give us the illusion of real light. Like so. I won't let the light, I'll keep my lash line shadow like that. There we go. That looks about right. Then, of course, if you're nervous about going in here, take your dirty tortilla, nap out an inside eye like that. Let's back off just a skosh there. You can see more of it. Pick out 2 or 3 of these. Some little ones that don't quite make it. Then, of course, using your rule for eyelashes, hit the tips of them. Just the tips generally, wipe across them. And you get the idea. She doesn't have quite the mascara line on that eye. In fact, there is a secondary line under here. And there's also, as we get over here, we notice there's a this. And then there's a this. Yeah, that's about the right size now. But again, look at this. This is all under hair. We didn't get that on our grid out originally. I mean, that's just hair coming right down over top of that eye. So we're not going to see a whole lot of that eye. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow in the sclera. In fact, I've got to get rid of this line now. Back. Do that.
To save time, we have already filled in the left eye to the exact same point as the right eye. And we begin to complete the left eye from that exact starting point.
Alright, so we're working more on this eye here. Like so. This mascara line. Like that. This area in here, I'm going to kind of blend. This is a 3, so I'm going to kind of blend that in there a little bit. And like I said, there's stuff going on in the blue part of an eye. And I can take this tortilla in here and separate out the inner part of that to a translucency. Then the black part, once again I'm back with my 6B, getting a value to go dark here. And we get that look right there. I can put in some dark stuff. It's just stuff, you know. I don't know what it is. It's just stuff that's in an eye like that, and it looks, oh, it looks kind of like that. You know, that's pretty much then how your eye will look. Like I said, I had just drawn these eyelashes here. A couple back here, like that. That little mascara line going down. Her little mascara line comes to about right there. Alright, in the photograph, her eye stops about right here. And there's actually, it's not a tear duct, but it's a brownish area. We'll go ahead and put that in. It's actually kind of like that. I'm going to give her that right there. And again, I'll take the 6 and freshen up the black where the black is really black. Yeah. There we go. Alright, she's got a line under here. It's a line that is known in most eyes. It comes right under here. And there's of course this, which has this kind of shadowing, but it only comes to right here. And then this bottom part of the lid comes across, but I don't want it that pronounced, because one of my tricks is I lose most of that there. There's a line there, but I lose most of it. This is dark in here. And really, truthfully, I'm going to go ahead and just darken the whole eyebrow. Okay, watch what I do here. So you're not going to see any eyebrow at all under this massive streak of hair. But you will see down through here, watch this carefully, now I have put hair over top of an eyebrow. Okay? Yeah. Now I'll take a 3H pencil, the really light one. I'll go in here like this. Pull that in. Alright, now lashes, little tricks with lashes. Lashes are diaphanously, you know, of course, some women, they look clumped. But particularly around the tips of them, knock them back a little bit. Same at the bottom here. And boom, you have eyelashes. I mean, that's just pretty much all there is to that. Alright, even though I'm using a 6, I'm going to go back to a 2, to an HB here, because an HB does give a nice hard line, not so much a dark one. And I'm going to put in here a little more. Alright, this hair here and this hair here, there's a shadow. I want that shadow. It's probably the shadow of the hair on top of her eye there. And again, this is just going to be scratch marks for now. I'm not doing hair right now. But I am implying where hair is. Go up here and get these eyebrows. And on the edges of eyebrows, particularly on a supermodel type thing like this, you go up here right along the edges where she's plucked. And then right in the middle, make it darker. I just know this. Don't ask me how, I just do. Boom, there you go. Now, her eyebrow thins out a little bit as it comes over to here. Or it doesn't thin out, it fades out a little bit. So that gives us the eye that we're looking for there. Got our lash line shadow going under here. It's not this pronounced in the drawing, but we do know there is a lash line shadow, and there's actually a reflected little brightness here. Ah. And that brings her well to life, as you can probably see there. Like I say, get used to drawing upside down, because a lot of the time that's where you're going to be drawing is upside down.
Here is the eye right side up. Notice we're beginning to get a likeness. It's beginning to look a little bit like her, but it's not going to look exactly like her in black and white until we reach a certain point.
Top part of the nose here, we know under here is going to be black. We know that going in. There's a really dark area in here where I left a shadow for it. So I'll go ahead and then with the 3, I'll go back and finish out the underside there. And then sort of make it defined like that. There's this ridge. We don't want to go any higher than that nostril there, but there's a ridge of darkness that's implied. You can almost not see that at all. But there'll be a ridge of pretty much a similar darkness there. It will give us the clue of that kind of a nostril. And then, I know that this is the shadow side here, so I'm going to go ahead and just imply, because it's going to help me to visualize it a lot easier. Just like that. Now, of course, at this point, it's easy for me, or easier for me, to go ahead and get this out. Then I can go ahead and just imply the line back where I took it off the nose just now to get rid of the grid, and up here to the eye. And you can see that's going to make life a lot easier. We can go down into here, and since I already know how everything is shaped, I'm going to go ahead and start getting rid of this line all the way through here, all the way across it to the end of the face. There we go. It's always good to get rid of that. Now, there's a shadow. I want that 6B. Give me a lighter pencil. Give me this HB here. There's a shadow comes out to there. Probably not that dark. I might have to bap it back. There's one up here on the nose.
Notice the shadow under her nose to the left, how it falls down on her face and upper lip.
And this whole shadow assembly sweeps down over top of there's a light that just picks up a shadow all the way across here. I don't really know anything about that. How dark or light to make that. It's something I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And say, okay, boom, there's a shadow of some kind there. I'm not sure what's going on, don't really care. I just know I got to have it, and I'm going to get rid of. So once I get rid of these and there's going to be a thing that happens right about here. In joins here. It's just the way noses are. This is a shadowed side under here. In fact, this is a very heavy shadow. It's going to go in there. We'll pull it up here so you can see that. It's going to be a very heavy shadow here. And then there's going to be like a lighter shadow on the side of it. And that we're going to do, since it's such a light thing with the makeup they've chosen to use, I'm going to go ahead and make varying degrees of lightness through there. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But this has to be really dark compared to most anything else. Pull back now. So there's a hump around here. Little piece that comes under there. Once again, I'm not going to go too dark with any of that. I'm going to come down here. We'll buzz the white on top of that. And why that is, I don't know. But it is. So the nose will now be defined by what's behind it. Probably by the way the light's hitting it. Now this shadow on her cheek is not this dark. I'm merely going to do that for your benefit, and then we'll back it off after we lay it. I'm not really doing anything I can't get out of. Okay, I'm not really doing that. Let's zoom in again. Really tight on that tip. And I'll explain it once more. Now it's a little bit darker so you can see it. Great. All right, once more here, you'll see this. This part here is dark right to about there. However, as it comes up here, the darkness that's here on the nose goes behind it. See how that works? Now that's weird, but that's what's happening. And that's what's happening right there. Now back off the zoom, it begins to make a little sense. The shadow is going to go clear up here, climb on up the nose, and then on the nose itself there's a little bit of that same darkness just right here. And the whole underside of the nose here, literally I could do this. If I wanted to, quite literally, without being any problem at all. In fact, I could take a 3H and do it as much as I wanted to. Where's that 3H at? Check this out. I can literally go under her nose like that. It's like that. And I'll get it. Now I can go back over here into the dark again. Darken up these nostrils. Now I'm going to catch a highlight over top of her nostril. And I'm going to get one right here. See how that works. And I'm going to take the tortilla, lose the fact that I did that on the upper end. Keeping the value there. Okay. I can go back in over here now. This is really going to be dark now. And this whole side of the nose, right up this ridge here, is dark. Where's that 3H again? See you on the dark side of the nose. See that? See that right there? Yeah. Hair now. Hair's going to come right down over her face just like that. According to our drawing here, huh? Now, look at that. And tell me what we've got. Well, now that begins at becoming a real nose. Of course, you're going to have to go back and lighten and darken and lighten and darken. When you put it with that eye right there, check it out. I mean, you've got realism there, and it's coming out. So, once more, you've got this line here of darkness, and all this will make sense once you start putting everything in. Okay. Comes down under here, all the way down, even with this, and under it actually. Right. All right. Bring it in tight. You can see that. See what I'm doing now is I'm coming through here and around, and now there's actually it's a white area. In this area, where her nose picks up a lot of light for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm going to show it because it's going to look better if I do. I'm going to smooth it in like that. And if it's, you know, too dark in the wrong places, wow, I'll just move the thing. Now under here, the nose comes down like this, and actually there's shadow. This is black. This is really black through here. And then there's a shadow, which is probably the tortilla. be the way to apply that. Now we've got actually the total nostril thing going on. And over here, yeah. I don't know why any of this stuff's on here. I never did learn why any of that was on there. I just know that it is on here. And it works if you put it on. And it doesn't work if you don't. Okay. Yeah, it's way too dark. Yeah, it's not been pressed in. Yeah, I haven't blended it with the tissue. I haven't done anything. But when I go back, lighten the whole value, I'm probably going to get away with the nose. Alrighty, let's see. Now this nose has a really white bridge that I don't want to forget about. Okay, I don't really want to forget about that nice, beautiful white bridge she's got there. And all this is going to basically be a kind of a 3/8 skin tone. And I can actually connect facial qualities now. So I can come over here and connect these facial qualities. It's very, very light. You can hardly see it on camera. But it helps me visualize the makeup I'm going to have to put on her. Okay? And that's the beauty of the skin, of the smear tissue technique. And here, you'll notice, I can back that off. Yeah. And now we'll see what we're looking at. Alright. So get that in your mind's eye really good. Okay. Now what we've got here, as I said before, darkness comes right down to where that's the underside. Comes up here a little bit, makes almost a Y shape. And darkness here. Some right up on the flare of that nostril. Then there's a line of shadow that comes here. I'm going to go ahead and apply it like that. And one that comes off the side. Those lines are formed by the shadow of the nose on the face. Okay. Of course, I will get rid of those lines in a moment. But now you see where these lines, I'll darken my darks here again. Now you'll see that line right there and this one down here. And we'll keep those lines there just for a second until I get through smearing in the shadow side of the nose. Alright? Keep those lines right there for just a second. Because when I get to the end of them, I'm going to come down here with this, after I get everything shaded right up to them, like that. I'm going to make it a little bit darker so you can see it on camera. Then I'm going to come through here with this bap and lose the edge of where that line really was. And then I'm going to smear it flat to where it disappears entirely. Did you catch that? You should have. Because now you see I've got this line comes under here. We've done this once, haven't we? Remember that? This line that comes down to here. And all up under here is dark. Remember that? Time to put another lap over it. Because it's her nose. We're creating light at this point. We're not creating a nostril or a nose, we're creating a light. I'll back off now just a little bit so you can see what we're doing here. That's the shadow under her nose. Now watch this. That is the line we used, but I don't need lines. So, I'll erase right into it and apply it back with a dirty tortilla. Now I get a shadow, I'll do this. Goes right into a shadow. Boom, just like that. Okay. And dark again. I have to put this back in because I smeared it. Anytime you smear, you're going to have to put it back in. Now there's a light piece from her septum that even the shadow is going to pick up. Alright. Now we're supposed to be doing darkest darks and lightest lights first. So I can get in here on this lip. Because that lip's going to be a whole lot darker in the finished piece than we've got it now. So I'll just go ahead and do this. I don't know anything about the lips right now, except I want to get rid of that grid. It's over top of it. I'll pull in tight on the lips so you can see. So that's our nose now. Pull in tight down here on these lips. See how real she's looking now? It's just a matter of doing this kind of stuff over and over again. It's just a matter of doing this kind of stuff over and over and over again until you get the shadows balanced. You get that discord balanced, alright? No, her lips aren't that dark. We know this. Alright? We understand this. Heard you. Okay? But for the moment they are going to be this dark. So I get rid of these ridiculous lines here from our grid that we had to deal with. Alright? Okay. Dark down here. And under her lip, I see this upside down very well. She has a pretty little bow mouth. We can go ahead and imply that the whole thing's definitely going to be darker than her whole face. So go ahead and just smear in all these lines. Then you'll go back with your eraser and pick up shine off of her bottom lip in the appropriate places. In fact, you'll probably go in with this Make sure it all cleans out. And she's got one right on top there. Alright. I'm just getting rid of the grid lines. I don't have to get rid of them all at once. I mean, I can go ahead and phase them out. I want you to see that effect, though. It's going to have a kind of a grilling effect until I go back over it. Take my pencil again and put the hairlines back. Alright, there is this firmness of hair that's going to give us skin in that area. And we want to show that, don't we? So I'm going to go ahead and just draw slashes of hair over that right now. That'll be just fine. Now I'm going to come over here like this. Take this 3B, come in here. And I'm going to put a firm blackness in right to about the edge there. Which I know has an eyelash or two under there somewhere. I just haven't determined where it is yet in the eye.
And the farther we go with our likeness, the more like the original photograph it appears to be.
So now we're beginning to see the outline of this girl and how nice she's going to look when we're done with her. So we'll zoom in tight on that eye, and you see that's where we're at so far. Now I've got a little problem here I want to correct while I'm into it. The back side of her nose comes to here. This rolls out, comes out about to the edge of this hair here. Actually, it comes, if I look at it right, halfway down the lip mark. I'm going to take part of this off back here. Because I've got, her nose is cuter than that, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up like that on the back side. Again, it's a little triangle darkness in here. And that's pretty solid. I'm not going to erase this back out again. But I'm going to impress it like that. Then I'm going to come across here, and I know that there's a sub level of darkness right across here. And there's one up here too. It's not the same, but it is the same value of darkness. I'm going to go ahead and smear that in. Keeping the two sides separated if I can. Alright, let's see. This little wing thing comes up just about to here. Like so. And then it actually comes around here. And the tip of that at the top. The actual roundness is here. not up here. Ah, of course it's not all that dark either. So, it's got a cute little nose, a nondescript kind of nose, but it's in a way, in its own way, it's a kind of a funny little nose. All right. Now, push that back a little bit, and then I've changed the head here on my buzzer. And I'll go back in here and lift out some light. Now there's a super highlight here. It's going to go right across the top of that nose barrel, as we talked about before. I want you to be able to see this. So I'm going to try to move it to where you can. Yeah. Now we're coming. I got a little over into that. Something I really didn't want. Yeah. I've got a secondary darkness there. And it's really, I could probably lift up into that a little bit. And do that. Probably the best thing I could do there. Then, this first part of the triangle here, picking up a light, let me go ahead and hit it with a 3H. Back right in there. Okay. Like I said, I'm just following patterns. Not really looking for realism, but I know realism will follow. As does night the day. If I simply stick with it. Alright, let's see. This is a 3H, again, a very light pencil used on Mylar generally. It smooths in almost imperceptibly, and that's what I want to do until I'm certain of what's going on here. I'm going to do that. Let it come out the bottom. See, I raised that nose about 1/2 inch from last time I was on it. And I did that for a reason. Let's get rid of this shade here. Alright. Now we're coming here. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and come out of here. Like that. Here's that line we drew in a race last night. I'm going to apply that shadow in right along there again. I'm just piecing together shades. That's really all I'm doing at this point. It may be, my drawing will look better. Let's put it that way. My drawing will look better than the photograph because the photograph takes out way too many of the shadows, and once I figure out where they are, well, my drawing will look better than the picture. See, I know there's a little bit across there. Yeah, I know that there's a little bit across there. See how it picks up light now? See how it's nice picking up the light? That's what we want it to do. Okay, I know down here where it's coming in, let's see, let's pull back and get a wide shot of that. Now I'm going to work on his cheek a second. I'm just going to do this lightly. I'll probably have to alter this later. But I know from looking at the photograph from the dark black and white I did on the computer of this same image that this down here is really dark. I know that. It's going to probably be darker on mine, like I say, because it makes it easy on the eyes. Now, I'm getting crap under here. Always clean out from under your drawing. Feel little pebblies under there. Do get them out. Yes, do that. Alright. And again, this shading is nice here, but it is also kind of a shade there. And we're going to be dark, not with a line so much here, but with kind of a value through here. I think it comes on down kind of like that. If I've seen that properly now, I think it does sort of like that. And of course down here at the bottom we'll map it back a little bit. Alright, there's a subshadow, which is definitely a 3H job pencil, and it's going to come from this point right up to there. So that's a third value. We got this value here, which is darker than any of it. Then we got this third value that's going to come right up to the bridge of the nose. It's like another facet there. We'll keep this separated if we can. And then see this area here that was off the nose? Well, now it's back on the nose here. Darndest thing ever saw. It jumps on and off the nose. Yes. Then, of course, being off the nose over here, I don't think you can see that too well on the camera. Let me do it from this side here. Yeah. Probably not so dark. Haven't done anything really deathly damaging there, I don't think. Now we'll back it all off and we'll do a realism check. And for the moment. I can change all those values later. The shade comes down to there, which means it's not over here. Yeah. Okay. In order to avoid white paper syndrome, she has to have a uniform facial tone all over. Probably about that dark. Keeping in mind, of course, when you do that, that the value that you put over here, showing right off the cheekbone, which, by the way, according to this, pull this back a little bit, maybe you can see it better. According to her piece here, that going on right up to about a line there. Everything on the outside of that, of course, comes in from the shadow, because there's a shadow right here. Comes up, and comes out right here. So our little piece here will erase this line. We're going to erase this hard line here. Down through there. That means everything on the outside of this is dark. And in that little recessed area, it pretty much is. Now that shows me a couple things here. I'm going to back off so you can see me getting rid of the grid lines here, particularly up and down the edge. Most of that will be matted over a ½ inch anyway. You don't have to really worry about that too much, but I like to get as cleaned up as I can. Now don't tear your paper doing this. If it catches wrong, you'll be crying, because it will tear paper. I've done enough of these, famous last words, but I've done enough of these to get a feel for it. Alright, her eye doesn't bulge quite that much, so bring this back in a little bit here, I think. I think that's the proper distance. If that's the case, then it just needs to be brought in here. I'll smooth that in a little bit. I got a little tight on that. A little tight on it. So I'm going to bring this line in a little bit. I don't think her cheek is quite that swelled. Bring that in a little bit there. We'll back it off so you can see it very well. Yeah. Alright, I know everything on the outside of there, in the way of hair and everything else, probably is not going to be terribly dark, but I also know it's going to be lighter. This skin is going to be lighter than everything out here. So to make life easier on me, for the moment, I can go back and dig highlights out of this later, because it's just blonde hair, and it's not going to give it so light. There's no lightest lights in here, in other words, for me to sweat or worry with. So watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make life a lot easier on me. I know hair comes out at least that far. And now, Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, I feel it now. I'm getting to feel it. You get to where you start to feel it. Somebody's got to feel this. That's right. Da-dum-bum-ba-ba. Pull out some lightness here. And I'm going to bat back a number of things here. And yeah, I know this is not a line here either. So I'm going to smooth that down with that reflected light line still catching on the side of her face. Give me something a little heavier here. The H tends to leave pencil lines I can't do anything with. I'm going to put a 3B here just a second. Just enough so I can get a good contrast. I may leave the contrast. No, it may not be in the photograph, but contrast is the only thing I got going for me. The photograph has color going for it, and I don't have color going for me. See, now if I want to, I can come in here later. You see, I can pull out all the blonde hairs I want, just like that. It'll be just fine. Don't sweat me on stuff like that, alright? It's not really a good idea to sweat me on stuff like that because I don't need it. Alright, let's go down the side of this jaw here while we're over in this area. Kind of got me interested in it. Alright, coming off of here, it's a firmer line than that actually. Then you can see here her little angular jaw. It's going to dip in right there just a bit. And then she comes down here. She's got a really nice little sharp chin. Comes in kind of like that. Yeah. It doesn't matter if I get this or this, the exact same brightness or darkness as over there. It just matters that if the degree of lightness and darkness here is in ratio. So in other words, you know, just to see what I'm doing, just to get a feel for her outline. Now I don't have to erase this grid part here. I can just go over it like that here on the outside. Yeah. So I'll do that right there for now. I mean, I can go darker or lighter, and it'll probably be prettier than the photograph. Now watch the cool part here. I've implied this, but check this out. She has to have white face over that dark. Are we on this? I will lose the very outline of her jaw altogether to a highlight. Ah. Secret to realism. See that? I'll use the very outline of her jaw. And like I said before, don't go sweat me. Don't go getting all upset. But man, I can pull out blonde hairs all day long. I can make that darkness work for me. I don't care. I can make it work. If I'm a little off on my shape, well, I can come back over here and pull that shape back in if I need to. Okay? I can pull that back in if I have to. Am I off there with the erasure? Can I pick up what I need? Oh, you betcha. Ow! Got that Celtic thing going on there, huh? Oh yeah. Alright, next step we're going to do, try to get a little more overall realism. Start losing these grid lines. Like completely. Because everything else I can fake. I don't have to know where it all is. And that's something else when you're doing grid lines. A little known secret. You don't have to grid out the entire paper. I just did that for your basically amateur benefit. I could just grid out the eye, the nose, the mouth, in those areas and quite literally be done with it. You know, just the middle of the face. Just put a little screen over the face. There's the bottom of her jaw. Now on this picture here, it shows that the shadow is on her jaw. You wouldn't think that. Shadow though, to right over here. It changes after that. It gets, the white goes back on the face. But here over, the shadow is on the chin. And then it gets over here, it comes off the chin again. That's funny, isn't it? Well, that works. Go ahead and mop this out through here. Get all that off. Okay. Get my 3H pencil. This is going to be a fine line up through here. Alright, so the darkness here will be off the face. The darkness here on the chin, just to this point down through here, will be on the chin. She's taking it on the chin down through here. Weird how that works, huh? Yeah, weird. So she's taking it on the chin here. I'm going to put in, shows across the chin, but then over here it's going to be behind the face bone, behind the jawbone here. Okay. Changes right there. Neat the way that works. It's a whole secret to realism. That's why things look like they do. You just don't know that. But you're going to know it when I'm done with you. See? Now over here, take it off just a skosh. I rub right along the outside to imply the darkness. Now, let's take a moment, set her up right, zoom back, see what we got here. Wipe her face off. Yeah. See how nice that is? So right down here to the tip of her chin, all the dark will be off the face. Until right here, where off the face until it's right here. Then it's on the face. So we have on the face and off the face darknesses. Pay very close attention to this. It's hard for me to do that upside down and not be in the way of the camera. That's the hard thing for me to get, but I'm going to try it. Let's see. Keeping in mind the face has to be the white part, right to this point here. After this point, in fact it actually shows it kind of rounding up, something you would never notice on your own. Right at this point it jumps on the face. Off, on. And it's a mild line, it's not a heavy line. Now the chin is going to be dark according to our photograph a little ways up into here. In fact, this, coming off of this little guy here, it's where I've got this shadow in from before. Pull that around here so you can see it a little better. I'm just laying down some tracks here. I'm not making that. This is not the final darkness, the final depth of the darkness, or any of that other stuff. I'm just putting in a few little tracks. That's all I'm doing. Yeah, it looks like I'm smearing up her face. Yeah, it looks like I'm not going to be able to pull it back. But then you see that and you go, oh, okay. Well, gee, maybe he does have a purpose for that. Maybe, just maybe, he does have a method to his madness there. C'est possible. Okay. Now, from here to here, this is the thing we really have to determine first. It jumps back off the face here. There's going to be a splash of, yeah, I know there's a splash of blonde there. We'll get to it later. And as it jumps back on here, there's going to be a darkness under here, which is going to look really cool. It's not going to get in the way of our dark chin here, but our lighter jawbone will encourage a darkness to form under there. So I can go ahead and imply that now. Yeah. It's not going to be that dark. No, I heard you. Got all that. I hear you guys talking to me through my psychic abilities. I hear you talking to me. So well, that's not like that. This comes up like this, and then straight up into here with a slight angle, not much of one. This is going to be hair. And this is going to be dark. This is right on the face too. Check it out. I have one of these touch lamps. It's a pain. And also, if I get this zoom too close, even though I'm not touching the camera at all, sometimes the camera will jiggle back and forth with its focus because it's electronic. I started out with a JVC camera. It's not doing as well as I wanted to. So I've switched it over back to my Sonys, which do have a better tight zoom. And they're digital 8s, and the JVC was a mini DV. I don't think it was the state-of-the-art top of the line, but I had to have a mini DV camera. So as they were going off sale and disappearing forever, I picked me up one. Alright, now I know this is shadow on the face here. I'll go ahead and imply it. Comes down right to about there. And I smear this in now. Yeah, now I'm able to, because this is all blonde hair, and the darkness is going to actually come up. See, I got to get rid of more of this red here too. That's a pain. I got darkness here, kind of a bow effect. It'll come up to about right there and disappear altogether. Blonde will take it over after this. So I'll go ahead and do that now so you can see it. I know to make something this beautiful, you think, well, you know, softly boring. It is. It's very boring, actually. But you know, by the same token, it's rewarding when it's done. I think that's why anybody does it. Now, that's the idea for it. So now you've got an idea for the outline. There's also another shadow that's going to come from this side of her face. It's a substitute. It's not as dark as this one now. In fact, there's a reflected light line between the two of them. But I'm going to go ahead and just start implying the dark side of the face here. Just to begin to match up all these weird values that aren't really working right now. It looks way too dark in there. And the reason it does is the rest of these aren't on. Now I can back those off if it's too dark once these values go on. This is where the art comes in. This is the part you can't really teach anybody. This is the part you cannot really teach anybody. But it's there for a reason. In fact, this is going to come in a secondary shadow right across here as well. I'm doing it all, pronounced so you can get an idea of what I'm doing. See how I'm going to put all that together? Put all that together there. When I blend all that in, she will have a face. Which right now she suffers from white paper syndrome. It's okay that she does it now, it's just that when she gets done, if she does it, it means I don't know what I'm doing. So, I think I'm beginning to get this now. It's looking good. Yeah. Okay, out here, hair comes out, down. I think I know when there's a shoulder there. Okay. Yeah, we'll get her. We're gonna change this here. And be kind of a sort of a stain. I'll put it into there. That's actually how that goes. I'm going to put a little shadow here, like that, a little triangle. This is going to come under here like this and around. And then clean that up a little bit there, like so. We got an area here comes up fairly like that, I think. And then I'm going to take the H pencil and do a light line up from here. Like that. And then kind of want to here, but I'm not going to have it. See, this line here, this shadow line doesn't come on the other side of these hairs. It stops about right there. And I haven't really hit that exactly right yet. I'm going to come down here. Kind of do that. And then voila. Now we're coming. Now we're getting somewheres, I believe. I'm gonna go on that side of the nose. Wipe the bridge down a little bit. And I'll walk around and check it for true. Yeah. Alright. Now, this other side here, I've got sort of like that. That, maybe. Well, that's about. We'll try that and see how that looks. Yeah. Okay. That little shadow of darkness under here helps out quite a bit. Like that. And then we'll take the BAP here. Now, keeping in mind that this comes right to here, straight down from here to there. And the rest of this is part of her lip. And it's a white shadow there, a white place really. It's actually just about straight up and down. The stain that comes off from behind that nose, not quite straight down, but yeah, about like I got it here the first time. That's a little rough and utilitarian, but I do believe that's about the right shadow for that. I do believe. Okay. Now, that actually tends I'm going to start if I'm right about that at all, we're looking at something kind of like that. Tap it back a little bit. Here's a whitish area. I'm just going to go ahead and dig it out very utilitarianly right now. Make it harsh, because then I can go back and fix it all. Now, tip off her little nose. Like that, I think. Yeah. Right, that's the tip of her little nose. Pull that in a little bit there, you might can see it better. Here's a shadow under here. That comes to here, sweeps down. Shadow comes on the outside of the nose here. And this comes to here, it comes down and around, back up into there. White streak down to here. That's a white streak here. And this is just, it's going to be really neutral skin tone. Oh, this eye coming right off the side of this nose here is going to all be in shadow darkness too. So I'm going to go ahead and just smear that in. Right, I'll go in there and finish that pupil in a few minutes. I'll go ahead and do that too.